is. We never know if we're live. And then I try to like kick in, and then usually Seth gets like an email that says we're live. I'm hoping it's going to happen here.
Oh,
it says preview, which I think is good.
Preview is good. That looks live.
It says, yeah, that looks live because it's counting and has a little 0. So nobody's watching, but we're live. So that's good. So let's give it a second. Or not. I'll just say, hey guys, I'm here with Vanessa Joy.
Hi guys.
So we are chilling. And I didn't bring the damn, entertain the audience. I didn't get the
we're
lights.
allowed to curse on yours?
Yeah, of course.
That's great. I'm not going to, but I like freedoms. I apologize in advance for the amount of sweat wiping I'm going to do. It's not hot in here. They have great air conditioning, but I'm still sweating from my workout an hour and a half ago.
It's actually not that good of air conditioning in here. I blame Paul. If you ever know Paul Disabella, Paul's been in the studio since 1984. I wasn't even born yet. He's the cheapest motherfucker. Sorry, Paul. This air conditioner is like 50 years old.
Wait, I was born in 1984.
I know, and he's been here since then.
Wow.
This studio actually used to be a fur shop.
Really?
So sorry, people that don't wear fur or whatever, but it's not that anymore. Yeah, this whole section of Manhattan. Manhattan is like all.
Well, you're in the fashion district.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're like in the area. There's only like 1 or 2 fur places left, but this whole street used to be fur places.
Well, that's because fur's bad.
It is bad. I agree. I'm torn, much like cigarettes. I like the look of it, but it's totally not the right thing. So fake fur, though.
Oh, yeah.
And fake cigarettes, I guess.
Well, vaping now, right?
So, yeah. Now, I don't see anything, so I'm going to try to go to the video because I see people are watching. If somebody's watching...
yeah, let us know if you can hear or see us, which is just our ploy to make you comment to boost the algorithm.
Yeah, exactly. We need the comments.
I believe in candidacy. How do you say that? I can go on YouTube and then...
Oh, there we are.
Then I'll
okay,
see.
so if I click on it...
Oh.
Well, because you can't see any comments unless you do
that's
this.
what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, look, people are there.
Yay.
Hey, guys. Okay, cool. All right. Hey, guys. 25 minutes. Sorry. Yeah.
I guess I'll sit up now that they see me slouching.
Oh, I see. Oh, Seth. Nice. Oh, yeah. So I'm wearing a Seth Miranda original, a.k.a. Last Witness.
I am wearing my Don't Be Negative shirt.
Which is cool.
Which is like from H&M.
You got to wear
like 12 years ago.
Photo shirts, right?
I have loved my t-shirt tank top collection of dorky things. It's great.
Yeah, actually, I like that in your latest series because if you don't know, Vanessa Joy, being an amazing wedding photographer, is a host on Adorama TV.
Yes.
And your series, you always have like a cool. I always look for the cool new T-shirt that you're going to be wearing.
And I don't buy them. It's just they're in my closet. They're in my closet.
Yeah. I'm like that too. I have so many, and then I have like stacks of them, and I forget I have them, and then I find one, and I'm like, oh, and that's what I do. So
that's
T-shirts.
What I do.
Yeah, this is cool.
Look at all these people. Oh, look.
Yeah.
He needs attention.
Oh, Seth. Hey, yo from Paris. Hey, so we were talking, and we know we're colleagues on Adorama TV and stuff. We want to do something together, and then it was top secret.
Top secret. I didn't even know about it.
So that Vanessa was being sent to Alaska. For Bro Photo to check out the new B10. So I want to know. Like, I already did a video about it, but I want to know what you think of it because you got to use it a lot.
We got to use it a lot. The coolest thing was the fact that Pro Photo just brought all these people, and they didn't just bring their Legends of Light, pro ambassadors or whatever. They just brought photographers that were war photographers and photojournalists and underwater photographers and mom photographers and everything, even Photoshop conceptual artists. I met so many people. I was so inspired by all the people. And then I wanted to quit photography naturally because you're in a room full of people that are so much better than you, and I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah, isn't that great though? When you just get to meet all kinds of people from different walks. And actually what's really interesting, and this happened, I think with the A1, when Cliff first showed it to me, and he was saying, what we want to do is we want to reach out to people that don't normally shoot with flashes, right? We want to get the non-flash people and show them that you can do this. And I think this is part of that same series.
Very much. At least half the people that were there were completely natural light photographers or had only picked up an off-camera flash a handful of times, which was great. Being able to sit there and watch the light bulbs go off and watch people that have never touched off-camera flash just pick up the B10 and be like, oh wait, I can do this.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I enjoy that because I teach a lot of lighting, that people, you start shooting, nobody starts off as a lighting person generally, right? Unless you never took pictures before and you somehow decide that you're going to be a wedding photographer, maybe because then you need lighting. Right? You don't.
But usually it's just on camera flash.
Yeah, on camera flash.
You bounce it when you learn how.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not. You pick up a camera, you start shooting because you enjoy it. Now people even with their phones, right? So, but then at a certain point, like what I always say is, you need lighting when you reach that point that you can't do something.
Yeah.
Like you don't know exactly what it is but you feel like you can't do that next thing. And I think making the entry into it easier with TTL and stuff is great. I mean, I think that's actually huge.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, the B10 gives you the ability to not trigger the actual strobe, but trigger the LED light, I guess that's on there. So you essentially, are you serious?
Yeah, she would win, so I'm not going to bother. Yeah. I'm not very strong.
But it essentially gives you the ability to use off-camera flash with your phone. With the new ProPhoto app, you can trigger not the full strobe, but you can trigger an LED light.
Okay, what do you think about that?
If you know anything about ProPhoto, you know that they're doing that on purpose. You know they're doing it to push boundaries, and they're doing it to open doors for
this
off-camera
is
flash with your phone, which is so amazing
this is
and very scary
super interesting,
for a lot of
right? It's super interesting to me, and the reason why is because I think it was Rhoda Light has been doing this for a while, and I make fun of them. They can't you can't do it with your phone. This is the difference. But they have their LEDs that flash. Actually, the first people to ever do it was light panels, and it failed terribly because they marketed it wrong.
Gotta have the right marketing.
Well, they kept calling it a flash, and it doesn't really flash. It basically makes the LED bright for a little bit of time to take a photo. You know, but when these things started surfacing, they were like, you know, you got these people with these pro DSLRs, and they're like, oh, buy this Rhodolite and use it like a flash. It's not really a flash. Some people would ask me, I'd be like, but using it with your phone is kind of interesting. I mean, I was actually, at first I was like, I don't know why you'd use that, but then Fernando had said, and I mentioned this in the other video, he was like, oh, you know what you could use that for too, is take your phone to like document your setup, your lighting setup, because all your lights will go off. There's definitely interesting things behind it.
I mean, we used it in broad daylight because we were in Alaska and we wanted to take a photo of me and the mountains behind us, but I was in shade, the mountains were in sun. And I mean, I got it close enough and it worked enough where I could at least not be a silhouette.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And that's in broad daylight. I mean, think about maybe doing it in, you know, indoors at night.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't think anybody's going to buy this flash to do that.
No.
But like you said, I think they're pushing
someone will.
Maybe somebody
Someone
will. I mean, it's cheaper than the new iPhone, I think.
That's true.
The new iPhone is like a gazillion dollars. But I mean, it's just really interesting that they thought of that, like as like a way to work. I mean, it's fascinating to me. Yeah.
Right. It is, and it just goes to show what ProPhoto. I think it's their intention to do that eventually. The thing about this light that I love the most, I mean, I do love the light. It tells a lot about the company. The company chose to come out with this product that completely, instantly, you know, obsoleted a very good selling product of theirs, the B2.
Yeah.
And it is the day before, or the day this came out, which was the day before it came out for everyone else. I'm texting my assistant, like, put my B2s up right now. Put them up right now. Like,
it's actually funny.
They didn't sell.
Well, it's funny you say that because Seth, who's maybe still watching, is always curious why I like the B2s. I actually really like the B2s, and my understanding, and I don't know this because I don't have ProPhoto's numbers, is that the B2 is actually very popular and sells really well. I like the B2. I think it's a great little kit. So
it is.
You know,
it is great.
I'm going to keep mine because I think there's other reasons. There's other things to do with it. But this definitely, right, like you said, I mean, if they didn't lower the price of the B2, this would have been almost the same price for two of these for twice as much power.
Exactly.
So
I just think it says a lot about the company that they're willing to throw a wrench in one of their products in order to, you know, advance the industry. And I mentioned that to one of the ProPhoto Sweden people that was there with us in Alaska, and her thought was, hey, someone's going to come along and, you know, kibosh us. Like, might as well be us, and we might as well do it for us, and we might as well do it first. Yeah,
it's true. So. Yeah, I think that they're smart like that. One thing that you definitely get with ProPhoto is that, not that this is going to become a ProPhoto ad, but we do have to know it, that they are thinking about stuff. You know, they don't just randomly put stuff out. It really is, they really do have like a plan behind each of their products, and they're like, this product is for, they imagine who the product's for. Whenever you're doing anything, right, you can only imagine what you think the product's for. I mean, somebody might randomly take it and use it for something else, but, you know, in general, I think they have an idea. And this is really supposed to be for that person that's just breaking in. And you know, people might be like, oh, but it's too expensive for that. But okay, whatever. I'm not going to talk price because that's a whole other thing. You could be doing photography for 20 years and it might be too expensive for you. You could have just started and it's not. It really
depends
just
on where
depends.
your priorities are. I mean, I think $7 for socks are expensive because I hate buying socks. But for a light, $1,500 or $1,600.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say that, right? Because like if you just take like all the money that you spend for coffee, like I spend so much money on coffee. Yeah, I mean, you know. You know, if I just take that for like 2 months, I could buy one of these things. I mean, it's like crazy. Like
It's
when you
true.
start this, so you know, whatever.
Budget yourself.
Yeah,
Go look up Dave Ramsey. He's really good at it. Go budget yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Get some likes.
Yeah, exactly. And because business is actually something that you're really good at teaching as well.
I like to teach it. I mean, I like being a photographer, but I really enjoy the business side and the marketing side and everything else.
Yeah, you did a really good at, I think it was WPPI like 2 years ago when we had that whole shooting booth thing.
Oh,
You did
yeah, that was fun.
like a marketing thing. And I thought it was really fascinating. I had, one of the things that actually my parents made me do, which because I wanted to be a photographer, and my parents were like, no, you need to take some business classes. And I'm like, if I'm gonna be a photographer, and
That
they're like,
is
no, you need to take
amazing. They
Yeah.
knew that then.
Yeah, and they were like, no, you got to take it. So I luckily kind of knew, but you don't always do some of the stuff. But it's fascinating because I think I don't remember the numbers that you said, but it was something like if you want to make $100,000 a year, you can't do 10 weddings for $10,000 because you don't really make $100,000 a year, right?
Exactly. You
Expenses
make like a
and
third of
advertising,
that.
yeah. So that's super important, and people don't understand that.
They don't, not until they get their tax bill at the end of the year, and they're like, "Wait, I owe $30,000." Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like right. Your
That's how that
taxes,
works.
your space, the expenses you have, like insurance, anything, buying equipment, and that all comes into your budget. So I think that's super fascinating too, and I think that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. You see lots and lots of tutorials online about like how to light things and this, because that's the fun stuff, I think. But
It
when you
is.
come
And-
down to it, the marketing and business is so important.
And that's what gets the most views. I mean, it's funny, doing Adorama TV, you're always critiquing yourself like, oh, that one only got so many views and this one got more. But meanwhile, the thing that got less views was more important.
Yeah, it is.
I
It's
think.
funny. Well, and I think that also is how in general the industry works out, because the people that are actually concerned with what we say is the important stuff, those smaller percentage of people are the ones that actually do stuff.
Right.
Because you also have just a lot of people that just like to watch videos and just play around and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think there's that too.
And a lot of people that just like to complain.
Yes.
I'm in a mood. I left my house this morning and I read on it was actually a filmmaker blog or Facebook group. Just somebody complaining about, oh, this price, and I can't book for my normal price anymore because there's too many new people and blah, 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 blah. And it is just such like a drill in my head. I'm like, just if you spend as much time like trying to find something new to set yourself apart and working at it as you did complaining about this online, you wouldn't even have anything to complain about anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely tempting to think like, this ruined the industry or this is this way. But the reality is that there might be more people shooting, but there's also more opportunities. Things are growing every day that didn't exist before.
There's more people in the world
Yeah.
that need photography too.
Yeah, there's more people and there's more options to do it. People want, like we did, I had nothing to do with this, but I was watching the video on Adorama TV. They had a photographer doing the new Fuji camera, and he does these like animated GIFs of the people that when they work out. And I was like, that's brilliant. Like, I wouldn't have thought to do that. Like, that's really smart. And that's apparently a thing. I didn't know that he created it, but like, it's a thing. And if you know these different areas, that's what you can do. So you see something you want, you do that you can offer to somebody that they might want, and that becomes your service, right?
I think it was one of the Profoto guys, I want to say it was Mark Ozonko, the president of Profoto. They were doing market research on photography in general, and they said the demand for, I want to say it was consumer to business or business to consumer photography kind of has stayed the same over the last 20 years, but the consumer to consumer or business to consumer. So like me needing a photograph for my family, the consumer wanting a photograph versus a business wanting to photograph has just skyrocketed. Skyrocketed, like more than 800% in the last 20 years. So the need is actually greater. People want photography more than they used to.
Yeah, even though they have the shots. And I think that's actually the thing, right? People get tons of pictures of themselves, but whenever somebody hires me to do a portrait, because I do private portrait sessions, they'll be like, yeah, I've never really had a great portrait done of me.
Right.
Like, people take pictures of me all the time, but nobody really does a good portrait, right?
That's so great.
And that's it. You're setting yourself apart because you're creating something that is different than what they're getting with the thing. So I think that's it. You got to think of it like that. So
it's
a little
funny.
inspiration
If you're a wedding photographer, you know this. I don't know if you've ever shot weddings, but we have wedding nightmares. Like the day before, the day of, we have all these nightmares, and you're scared you're going to ruin this wedding, and every time I've gotten my photos back from my editors and I've seen them and I've hated them to death. Ironically, they're the ones the clients have like loved and purchased the most. But I stopped having those nightmares when I finally realized that regardless of what photo I take of them, it's likely going to be the only professional photo they've really had, and definitely the only professional photo they've had of them and their now spouse.
Yeah.
So it kind of took away my wedding jitters when I realized that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think that that's actually a good point. We'll sideline into something very controversial, because why not? I'm all about
I
controversy.
love that.
So,
very straightforward.
Okay, so a couple of new cameras got introduced. You know where I'm going with this.
No.
She's leaving. Well, no, because I think you fall on the side of so I had put out a video kind of making fun of the fact that people were mad that Nikon camera only had one card slot. And I think that that I got a lot of hate for that, but I made it only because it was the way people were complaining about it.
Right.
Like literally it was like, fail, Nikon's going out of business, you might as well. But then, you know, some people made compelling arguments, a lot of them being wedding photographers, as to
Yes.
why you might require 2 card slots.
And I do.
Yeah, like you feel like you need it, right?
I do.
So let me ask you this, not to put you on the spot. Like beyond that, like what else do you do during the day of the wedding? I mean, you know, very basic, to back stuff up. You must do that as well, right? Or do you
No.
not? You just go. You just
Nothing.
shoot.
I just go, I just shoot.
Oh wow, okay. So
Yep.
everything's on the 2 cards.
Everything is on the 2 cards.
Okay, that's really interesting. See, now I have shot weddings before there was 2 card slots, and what we did, because I was
You
paranoid
back
because
up
of film
onto
day.
those little external hard drive things.
Yeah, I would dump them as I was going. So I always thought people still did that. So you put the cards in, and you're just like, I'm going for it. But you have multiple cameras.
No.
Oh wow. All right. This is now important. I mean, if that's how you shoot, you know, this is it, right?
Is.
Perspective
and,
is
you
key.
know, it depends on the day. So typically, at least by cocktail hour, most people, well, I can't even say that, at least by after toasts, that might be the first time pretty much all photographers would get a break. Sometimes that's the time people leave. But that would probably be the first opportunity. If it was a crazy hectic day where you're really just shooting, you're not even in the car driving, that's the first time that you would get a chance to back up your cards. And Lord knows cards fail way before that sometimes. So to me, I don't know. I feel like I'm going back to film and, like, you know, crying as I put the roll into the envelope and send it off to the lab. I hope that comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's relevant. I mean, it doesn't mean that, and this is, I guess, what I was, the point I was getting at. So yeah, maybe it is important for some people, you know, if that's
I think
what you
it
do.
is, but at the same time, I don't think it's a reason to hate on a camera. And it's almost like the pro photo thing. You know, you see them do this little trigger-ish kind of thing with a phone, you know they're going somewhere with it. And Canon and Nikon, they haven't been around for however many years they've been around because they're idiots. You know they have things planned. You know they're not like, here's the one mirrorless camera, hope you like it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So yeah, it's like the one product. Although I think one product can sometimes push you to the next level, I rarely do one product take a company down. I mean, people have put out a lot of crappy cameras. A lot of crappy cameras. I mean,
Yeah, and if you, I mean, think about if this camera got released, you know, 10 years ago, been like the best thing since sliced bread. So.
yes, I think it's all perspective. But I did think it was interesting because once the smoke of the initial people being pissed off and just writing, you know, F you Nikon, and people actually were like, and mostly wedding photographers. That's why I thought I'd bring it up when you were here. You know, I was like, well, okay, this makes sense because if a wedding photographer might feel more compelled to that. Now, I would still back stuff up because I am paranoid as hell, but. You know, this is the nature of the.
Well, it's just a new way of backing it up because.
I guess, but I always feel like my camera might get trashed or something. But I'm
That's
also.
a good point. I did watch a video, one of my friends backing down the aisle, not realizing there was like a baptismal fountain behind him and falling right into it. All I saw when he replayed it, I was like, oh, the camera went in first. Oh no.
Weather sealing is good.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess you got to be. It's actually that's why they make tough cameras, I guess.
It is.
Yeah, you know, and that's actually another reason why you get that product. You know, sometimes people ask me why I use the Canon that I have. I mean, I have a lot of different cameras. Is a D.
Oh yeah, that's
D1.
one I use.
Yeah, I use the same. And I don't need the 1,000 frames. I don't shoot whatever many gazillion frames a second or whatever it does. I don't shoot like that. But it's tough as nails. Like that's why I have this
Exactly.
camera. You can beat the crap out of it. I don't need half the functions it has as far as being fast or whatever. But man, if I drop it, I know it's going to be all right. You know, and it's reliable. And also the big battery is nice.
Definitely have.
Yeah.
And I like holding it because it's heavy and it makes me flex.
Yeah, it gives
my
you
muscles while
balance, you know.
doing it. Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I mean,
Well,
it's
I want to
definitely
see
cool.
what these people are saying.
What are you saying, people?
Take in a picture. I'm assuming it's take a picture of Vanessa. Oh, that's a different language. He's typing in. We'll give him a break. Take a picture of Vanessa. Okay.
Oh, me?
You don't want us to just talk.
She's not a model. She's a photographer.
I'm
I mean,
not a
you're
model,
beautiful,
I'm a
but you know.
photographer.
Yeah. Do you run into a lot of that? Oh, we're going all kinds of controversial. I actually remember this is point in case. So I was a photo assistant, and I used to work for this photographer, a great photographer, Deborah Mitchell, awesome photographer. I don't know if she's still around. I'm still shooting. I'm sure she's still around. And we walked into the CEO's office, and I mean, I'm like 22, 23 years old. This woman's in her 50s, right? And he comes up to me And he goes, "Oh, you're the photographer?" And I'm like, "No."
Interesting.
And it's like, do you get a lot of that because you're a woman?
So doing weddings, I think weddings are more friendly towards women because it's a women's thing. But I've definitely, I don't think I've had it happen to me too much. I mean, you've had the random borderline sexual assaults stuff, but then I just punch people and we move on. I did have a friend. Yeah, there's a lot of drinking at weddings, so whatever. But I definitely had a friend that maybe it was a videographer. Somebody was just making fun of the fact that it was an all-female photography team and kept saying to them all night, "Man, you guys would be so much better if you just had a guy." I'm like, really?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Really?
It's such a weird thing. Like, and I guess from my background, when I was in the military, my entire squad was female except for me, and we were the #1 squad. So,
I mean, so that's my wedding world.
It comes down to people. You know, it doesn't matter.
And again, because I'm in the wedding world. But if I go into, I don't know, like the sponsorships and company corporate world that I work in, I absolutely do see more male.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, you know, and you can use the idea that, oh well, if you're taking older people, they've been around, and maybe there was more photographers before. But now, I mean, I think things are kind of smoothed out. But I think that's really interesting. So yeah, I mean, you know, just because she's beautiful doesn't mean that she's a model. I mean, not that's an insult, but I mean, I
love to be. But
I mean, take a picture of me. How come everyone wants my? That's really what it comes down to. Why isn't Vanessa photographing me?
Why can't I be the one taking the picture?
Right. Let's see you in the setting.
Aw, thanks, Mike. You know, it's funny. For the longest time, Mike said that he loves my wit and sarcasm on my recent videos. And it's funny, for the longest time, I thought I had to be this carbon copy of all the female photographers before me that were successful. It's so not me. Anyone that knows me knows I'm just like ridiculously sarcastic. All I do is make my live Adorama video with that thing. I was making like Lord of the Rings jokes left and right. It was just like that to me. So I decided to start actually doing that. It's much more enjoyable.
Yeah, it is true. I think that when you be yourself, you'll do a lot better. I actually fell into this. Like, I don't know how you started hosting. I guess I'll ask you, but just people know how. I was like spontaneously shoved in. Like I was always the person that they were like, we need somebody to be in the video, and nobody else. Everybody else would just take one step back.
Oh, that's
so I'd be standing there. That's kind of much how I did it. Now I love it, and I'm not going to say I'm not a ham, and I do it all the time. But like, did you think, hey, I want to do videos, or were you already teaching first? I'm assuming.
I was teaching for a long time, and by the way, Oreo, we are reading it. Pay attention.
Oh.
I've been teaching for a while. I guess probably about a decade now. And then 3 years ago, Adorama just contacted me, and I think it was Mark Wallace actually recommended that I start teaching and doing Adorama TV, and then I did. And if you look back at my first videos, they were probably awful.
Yeah, they always are. Yeah.
They were awful, weren't they? Yeah. Nice.
Mine were horrible. Mine are still there. I don't know if yours are still. Yeah, you can look for it. One of my very first comments, and one of my very favorite comments, was because at the time it was called Adorama Pro. They were pushing it, and the comment was, "Adorama Pro, ... brought to you by a bum."
Brought to you by a bum. That's great.
I mean, I can't deny it. I mean,
Somebody asked, do you think the B10 can replace the B1 or B1X? The answer is no. You're talking about very different watt power. So when I shoot a wedding, I bring my A1, my B10 now, used to be my B2, and a B1. So I have all three because depending if I have to shoot in like noonday sun, I need that B1. I need that extra power.
Boost, yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting. I did a quick test on Instagram if you guys didn't see it, where and again, and I'll point out that I am not a scientist. See, when they actually test these things, they do them in the controlled labs and stuff. I just put it on a stand in my studio, which is not exactly, and it only came out about a half a stop less, but I'll tell you what, a half a stop is a lot of light when you need it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's hard to say. I think in a softbox it might read differently too. I got to do some more testing. Surprisingly, the A1 is damn powerful.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I mean, it's only 75 watt seconds, but the efficiency of that head is. But okay, so
I was asking you about gear, and I actually want to hear this.
Oh, if you had to start all over again, new camera.
What did he say before? I thought he said something. He was asking about what gear you use.
Oh, what gear do I use? For what?
Or what would you use? I don't know. I don't. What do you normally shoot with? Like, say I came in for a headshot. What do you shoot with?
Okay, so if I'm shooting a headshot, I usually use my Leica, right? If I can, because I love it. It's an old Leica, an M8. But it's got a CCD sensor, so the skin tone on it is fucking killer.
Beautiful.
It is only 10 megapixels. It is noisy as all hell. You got to light with it. It's slow. You actually, when you take like 3 pictures, you have to wait for it. It's terrible. But for that setting, it's
works.
perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. I have the Canon that I use for a lot of demos and live stuff. I do that mostly because I can tether with it really easily. It's also common. One of the problems is, like when I did my B10 video, I had at the time the Hasselblad, which I had to give back. I'm going to buy the Hasselblad. I love that thing. And Cliff said to me, "Oh, don't use the Hasselblad in the video."
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. Cliff was like, "Oh, don't use the Hasselblad in the video because that's going to make it seem too advanced."
Yeah,
so I was like, "Okay, I understand that." So I use the Canon for that stuff. If I had to start over, I probably would buy a Hasselblad. I really like it. I'm sold on that thing. It's weird, but I didn't think so when they told me they were going to give me a camera. They're like, "We want to give you a camera," and I was like,
"You do?"
Hell yeah! And I was like, "Yes." Well, first they were like, "Oh, we want to give you." It's a whole thing because, anyways. But so I thought they were going to send me a H6 because that's more like what I would use. And when they gave me the X1D, I was like, mirrorless, whatever. It's awesome. I love it. It's a little slow.
I've never shot with.
Yeah, I don't think I'd shoot a wedding with it
Canon.
per se, depending on how you shoot, because
Right.
it's not doesn't have the super fast autofocus. You don't have zoom lenses. I mean, there's reasons. It depends on your style, I would say.
Well,
But
a
portraits,
tool for the job.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it comes down to how you shoot. So I don't
It
know what
does.
I would buy. I have so much equipment. I am very fortunate in that working for Adorama, I got to use a ton of stuff, and I wasn't allowed to favor things. Like
Right.
I'm not allowed, because you know, obviously Adorama is a retail store. I don't think anybody's trying to hide that fact. You know, it's like, so I can't, you know, so I've got to use whatever they want me to use for the videos. They, you know, if they want to produce a video about using inexpensive lighting, I use inexpensive lighting. For all the people that are like, you don't use inexpensive lighting, do a little Googling. There's a lot of videos of me using inexpensive lighting. You know, I've used Profoto, I've used Ellen Chrome, I use Broncolor. I'm using Lowell right now to light us. I use Data Light.
But I mean, I think that makes you so diverse because I can pick up any Canon and shoot with it, but picking up any Nikon, I'd be like, I don't know what to do. Picking up a Sony, I wanted to throw it out the window. Like it was just,
everybody
it's
wants to
hard.
throw Sony out the window. I'm sorry, Sony people. Until you get used to Sonys, they're so awkward.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. And I'm using a Sony right now to shoot. I think they're amazing for video because they're flat as all hell.
Right.
But I want to say that every time I use the Canon, people are like, "Man, those colors are great."
It's true.
And all you Canon haters out there, man, Canon's got something right with their color science. I'm sorry, they
and
just
their
do.
lenses.
Oh yeah,
the
they're
beauty.
So if you were just starting, the wedding, what would you
Starting
do?
in the wedding industry, you know, I have to say, I really would not do much differently. I'll tell you the big mistake that I made. So, the good thing was that I was not like a lot of photographers now who think, I want to be a photographer, let me go start my own business. I feel like that's such a backwards way to do it. When I first started, I worked for somebody else for 5 years, and it was kind of nice. I made mistakes with his business, not with mine.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, until I learned, you know, enough to kind of do it on my own. And I would do that the exact same way, but the way that I transitioned from his business to doing it on my own, I was just ignorant at the time. I didn't understand the concept of not being able to use my pictures that I took as a second photographer for the website. And on, you know, his end, we were just in that shift of going from film to digital, so the concept of that being allowed or not allowed wasn't even something that was usually addressed because there was only one set of film negatives and the only person who had that was the owner of the studio. So that was not pleasant and kind of did not end pleasantly. So I would change that. I don't like to burn bridges ever.
Yeah, and I think it was probably an honest mistake. And honestly, if you were like an apprentice under me or whatever, and you were a second shooter and you were starting your own business, I personally would be fine with you as long as you okayed them.
And he did ultimately.
In the end, yeah, because I
them.
think that's one reason why we assist or apprentice is so that we can go out there and do our thing. You know, so
there's a whole line, at least in the wedding world, there's a whole line of thought. Either you're getting paid or you get the pictures. Like you're getting portfolio building or you're getting paid.
Right.
Personally, I kind of do both.
Yeah,
but that's because I feel like I'm still making up for my mistakes. Total guilt, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I actually, by the way, just people probably don't know this because I don't talk about it much. My very first photo job was being an assistant for a wedding photographer.
Really?
Yep.
Around here?
No, it was in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Jim Callery's photography. He's probably not around anymore because he was, I mean, I don't want to say that, but he was an older gentleman. He was amazing. Film, Hasselblad. It was crazy. And when the big change at that point was he's like, man, all these young wedding photographers coming up and they're shooting 35 millimeter. Can you imagine? Like that was the thing. So but he didn't go, and they suck and they should go out of business. He was like, so I'm going to shoot some 35 and mix it into my work to see how it changes how I work.
Now
And
that's the way to think about it.
and he was amazing. I mean, and this guy was like, we used to use these Norman flashes that had like color things on them, and basically you change the color. It always gave you, I think, F11 or whatever it was, at different distances. So he'd be like, red, and then you change your flash to red, and then he'd just do. And after a while, once you were good with it, you could just like hold the flash, and I would know, and I would just change it on my own.
Right.
That's how we did it. Flash on a stick.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
Voice activated stick.
Voice activated stick, exactly. It was some of the coolest stuff I ever did. I was a total snob when I was younger. I wanted to be a fashion photographer. I was like, oh, wedding photographer. But it was the only gig I could get. And I was like, I'll try it. And I actually had a really good paying job. And he was only paying me, I mean, this is a while ago, but it was like $7.50 an hour. To assist. And I was getting paid like triple that in my like day job. So like I would go on the weekends, and like I didn't even care. I was like, just pay me at the end of the season, because it was like so little money for me.
Right, it didn't even
but I was just
matter.
doing it for the experience. And he was amazing. And yeah, it taught me how to use Hasselblad. Because I totally showed up and didn't know how to use it. And he was like, I have to show you how to load this thing, and don't screw it up because we're about to do a wedding.
Because it's a wedding, there are no redos.
Yeah, there's no redos. Yeah, I remember I dropped a roll of film behind a radiator once. Oh my God, it was so terrible. He was shooting he was up front in the church shooting the thing, and I was back like sorting it. It fell behind the radiator in the back. I spent like 10 minutes while he was up there looking for it. I finally found it.
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
And it was like bride getting ready
Now,
pictures or something.
don't you wish you had a dual card slot in that situation?
Well, that's it. Well, you know what he used to do was, which is interesting about that, he shot a Hasselblad, so interchangeable backs.
Oh,
so he would
that's it,
shoot,
yeah.
shoot a few, then he'd switch the back, then shoot a few, so he'd always have a backup. Yeah. But then he had the 220 back that he would use for like the receptions, because that was, who cares?
So funny. It's wedding, when you said, a lower form of art, I still feel that kind of, oh, you do wedding photography, like, I'm so sorry.
Well, I think weddings are the thing that somebody who has some interest in photography but wants to have their own business goes into. Like, you get a lot more of those people than the people, because a wedding is kind of,
I don't know. I think you find people that are
turnkey.
like, they think weddings are magical.
Well, no, they do, but I'm saying you get more of those people. Like because what I'm saying is, like, okay, if you didn't know anything about the photo business,
right,
and you just knew that you'd like to take pictures, and you were like, I want to make money with my camera, you're either going to do like school photography or weddings, because that's what people think of. Like when I was,
or families.
Well, that's what I mean, but that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
Nobody thinks, like, if you talk to your family when you're 18 years old and you say, I want to be a photographer, nobody's going to be like, oh, you want to shoot for Vogue? Like, they don't think that. Like, they see photography everywhere. They don't think that, like, when they, not this coffee cup, but like when you pick up a cup, there's a picture on it. Like Paul, who has the studio I was making fun of earlier, he shoots all that packaging stuff. Like, that's how he makes his living, and nobody thinks of that shit. Like, go to the supermarket, look in the cereal aisle, all those pictures of cereal, like, that's Paul. And it's like, nobody thinks that, but they think wedding or whatever. So I think a lot of people drift there when they have an interest. So, I mean, I think that's why people think that. I mean,
so you're saying we are the default.
You're the default, yeah. So because of that, there's a lot more wedding photographers, that people are aware of than that, so you get a lot more. I mean, I think. I have total respect for wedding photographers. I mean, I didn't then. I was like, oh, God. And then I watched him work.
Now you know how hard it is.
Yeah, I mean, he was just an amazing photographer. And he was such a good business person, too, because at the time, I don't know if people still do this, but they would, it was becoming a thing, because he was like, this is new, I don't know why people are doing this. The brides would show up with these like magazine articles of like the shots that they needed and give them to him.
That's hysterical. I mean, now they just send us Pinterest boards ahead of time.
See, he would take it, he'd smile, he'd take it, he'd give it to me. He never looked at it again. He said, I've been doing this for 30 years, I know what shots I need.
That's so funny.
Yep. And he was a master of it. And then he would shoot it, and then he would like design their books. And this is all before digital, so it was like he would literally get the prints and he would design the book.
Oh yeah.
And he would show it to them.
I used to do that too, with the little mats, and we flip it over and tape the mat. Yeah.
So good. He was such a good, and I was like, wow, this guy really knows his shit. But he was doing it for a long time. So,
we
I
have
total
lots
respect.
of things.
Oh.
Photo Plus Expo. I went to register for the Photo Plus Expo the other day, and I realized I missed the cutoff date for the free pass.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm like, I don't think I want to pay for it.
Oh, come on the day that I come. I'll give you one of my passes. I have 3 passes this year.
Nice.
Yeah, I can get you. I know. Photo Plus, I'm sorry, it's not worth paying for. Although go, because I'm going to do something at the Eric's booth this year. Last year we crashed the Eric's booth, myself and Seth, and we're going to do it again. So they make these wide-angle lenses, which are really cool. Hey, Eric's. And so I went out and did the thing, right? This is the thing. I went out and I'm like, what would somebody do with a wide-angle lens? And I went and I shot nature shots. And then the day before I was supposed to present all these pictures, Seth says to me, he's like, that's not what you do. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I just grabbed my Pro Photo, the B2, and I took the models, and we just went to the booth and we shot a portrait in their booth, which wasn't set up for it at all. And it was a nightmare, and it was awesome, and we got a huge crowd, so we're going to do it again this year. Nice. So come to Photo Expo. It's going to be awesome.
What day is that? What time?
It'll be on 2 of the days. I don't know, but I'll say it, and if we can get Vanessa to come too, we'll get her to come.
I am available Thursday and Friday.
Last time we had Gavin Hoey
Then
helping.
I'm going on vacation.
Oh, nice.
Like a real one.
Oh,
I've
where
been
you
on a
going?
real vacation.
Oh, maybe you don't want to say.
Time. I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, a staycation.
No, I am. No, we're going to Aruba.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yeah,
That
good
is
old
good.
timeshare.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah.
One of our favorite photographer mentors or photographers I follow. You know, I don't have a lot of specific people I follow. I'm the kind of person that just takes from different things. So if I see something I like, I kind of try to apply it to what I do, which is actually something I'm doing more recently. I'm trying to take concepts and photography skills outside of the wedding photography world and pull them in. So more recently I've done like multiple exposures and kind of pulled that into weddings. Something else I did recently that I already forget what I was doing, but I actually have been bugging Seth to do something with ghosting with me so I can pull that in. Because the only thing that I've ever seen wedding photographers do with ghosting is that like cheesy crap where you like take a picture of the reception and zoom the lens and it just looks you know, I jumped into light speed on the Millennium Falcon and it's not cool. I mean, that part's cool. But
You know, it's cool.
yeah, it's not cool. But anyway, just trying to do things that are different because, you know, I've been doing this for like 15 years. You get a little bored, you know?
Right, did you go through a lens baby phase?
Oh, thank God, no. I did not.
That was like, no offense to lens baby, but that was
No
like...
offense to Lens Baby,
like
but it was
every
like
photographer
everyone,
goes through that phase,
yes,
though. It's like,
exactly. No, I did not. I just didn't. What else we got here?
let's see.
In a small town, weddings are some of the only paying photo gigs. Yeah, I can see that. The real artists I always appreciate seem to value sharing cooperation, right? Over snobbery and backstabbing. Yeah, that makes me feel good.
Actually, I think when you're actually really, and now this is going to sound snobby, when you're actually working with people that are we're really overexposing to, I probably should have put my camera on automatic, but I left it unfixed. When you're working around people that actually work, they're not like that. Like when I was a photo assistant, like literally photographers would call me and be like, listen, this client doesn't have enough budget. Would you want to do this job? Like people didn't, like, it's a community, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, the better part of it anyway.
Yeah. Old camera. Yeah, that's good. I like the Canon. Before I had this one, I had the Nikon 5D5, 5D, however the D5, I guess, because they do the opposite of, which is also very nice. Wedding's difficult. Yes, this is true.
Do you ever do portfolio reviews? Do you do them?
We do portfolio reviews. Wow, we're getting really overexposed. Sorry, guys.
Do you want to change it?
I'm going to change it.
No one minds.
I'm going to change
We're
it.
all photographers here.
Yeah, I'm going to change the exposure. This is damn Sony. Although you
Hi, Seth. Yes, you're very special. We notice you. Thank you for being here with us. Actually, I just finished talking about you, so not only
yes. Oh,
you'll
and
have
the
to
Canon
rewind
turned
this
off.
later. Favorite studio background? Have you played with the Oliphant studio backgrounds? They are so beautiful. Have you tried the Oliphants?
I have not.
They're
I'm
gorgeous
not
studio backgrounds. Not
Are they
that
like
I own
painted
any,
ones?
but
They're like painted backgrounds?
they're painted ones. I got to play with one at Sue Bryce's Portrait Masters conference. I was teaching in a shooting bay, and they gave me this gorgeous painted backdrop. It was absolutely stunning.
What's interesting about painted backdrops is that there's the really cheap ones that are terrible, and then there's the good ones, right? That are just like the good, like the painted. Oh my God, when you get a nice one.
I don't know how much those are.
Yeah, they're usually pretty expensive. I've had them custom made for jobs like catalogs where the company comes in and paints them, ready set here in New York and stuff like that. But I don't really use fabric backgrounds that much. I mean, I'm too lazy to set them up.
It is a lot.
Yeah, I'm very lazy.
When looking for fresh models, Daniel, how do you find new models?
How do I find new models? I walk around and I go, I'm a photographer, baby.
And then someone says #MeToo and runs away.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happens.
Dave's gonna get me the coffee. Yay! He won't text me back, but I'm gonna take your word for it. So a lot of the Adorama team is in Paris right now. They were just in Amsterdam for one of the photo conferences there. Photo Keynote? Is that the one they were there for?
They were there at IBC, but now they're going to
that's
Photo
right.
Keynote. Yeah.
That's right. I knew one was first and one was second. But anyway, I don't know if you know about Europe. They have the best coffee, and I've been trying to bribe one of them to bring me back some coffee. And now I have it in writing that Dave is going to try to get me the coffee.
You should be able to get it back. When we were in Sweden, Cliff made me sneak back vodka. He gave me vodka, and he was like...
He brings it everywhere.
Yeah,
he brings his own vodka everywhere.
He
and
loves
I forget
his
the
vodka.
brand.
Yeah, it's very specific, and he's like, no, I've already checked with customs. You're allowed to carry this many bottles. So I was like, listen, if I get to customs, I'm not allowed to have this. I'm going to throw it out. He was like, no. And sure enough, when I got there, I had the exact amount that you were able to carry.
Wait,
He's
what?
got it down.
Before 9/11 or after?
No, this is no. I didn't carry it on the plane. I checked it.
Yeah. That you
Yeah, no, I checked it. But you're only allowed to import so much of it before you have to pay for it. There's like a certain number of volumes of liters or whatever. He had the whole math done.
Oh
Cliff's,
my gosh.
Hey, Cliff. So where do I find models? It depends. Sometimes I go to modeling agencies, but not as much to these days. I usually just kind of randomly find friends of friends because I like to use, and I hate to say real people because that sounds so jerky, like real people, but I try to use like actors and stuff as opposed to like fashion type models usually because I feel like actors have a lot of personality and you can do more with them than just a kind of a pretty girl.
That's true. For me, I mean, I like to use real people because if I'm teaching a posing class and I've got a model there, it's kind of hard to teach posing because they're just doing it already rather than having somebody that you'd actually experience photographing.
Well, and also though now, is this what do you think about this? Because I see people say this and it kind of aggravates me even though I'm not there. When somebody sees something like that and you're like doing a wedding workshop and you're photographing somebody who's beautiful, because of course you're going to get, listen, you're going to pick a beautiful person. It's the way the world is. And then they're like, why don't you use a real person? They're a real person. Real people look like that, believe it or not. I mean, if they're 12 and they're 6'3", I mean, that's like a model. But, generally there's a lot of attractive, regular people. And you're going to lean towards using those in your demos because people want to see that,
I mean, it's true. If you look at any of the numbers on, I don't know, look at Adorama's IGTV and the numbers, what gets the best numbers? The ones with the pretty girls in them.
Yeah, it's the way that it is.
This is your fault we can't use real people.
No, it is true. It's actually the truth. And I think that and I say this a lot and people think that be bullshit, but the reality is that everybody is kind of, I try to use kind of different types of people, but everybody's the same, so if you might be looking at this person who's, let's say, a little bit heavier or whatever, the same stuff more or less, the concepts work. You just have to exaggerate it more.
Right.
The guy turn more sideways if they're heavier than they do. It's like the nature of the beast.
Or less. On where
depending on where
the
right. You gotta have that hip turn. But yeah.
Do you know how in trouble I got once because I posted a video on how to slim your bride or how to make yourself look slimmer in photos or something, and then that was apparently fat shaming. I got eviscerated for it. It was awful.
Yeah, it's funny because people ask for that so much, and normally what I say is that, and this is the truth, I find, and you've actually seen me, often if you ever see me do stuff live, I'm always like razzing the models because I like people to feel super comfortable about who they are, and I feel I point things out because I want people to understand that. Like if you have a slightly large nose and we're trying to minimize it, I will say, I'm going to turn you this way because your nose is big, because people then understand why you're doing it, and that actually helps them feel better about themselves.
But then meanwhile, the model goes home and, files a lawsuit.
That's fine. They can do that. Marissa, she's all right. Yeah, she's very nice.
She is. She's very cute.
Yeah, she's cute. I look for personality over anything on people that I bring back. They got to be cool. If you're not like super cool, then I can't keep shooting you because it's a pain in the butt. And you've probably seen occasionally where I shoot a model that's really beautiful and then I never use her again because it probably wasn't that interesting for me.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of the beast.
Artie asked for tips on finding a mentor. What do you look for in a candidate to assist you? Oh, so if that's hard because I'm sure you get a million emails, DMs a day, like let me assist you, let me come, I'll do it for free. Yeah.
Yeah, I do get that a lot. And I guess what I do is I try to feel people out for their actual reason for wanting to do it. And you may not even really know your reason. It's a lot easier now because I do a lot more teaching and stuff. And when I used to just strictly shoot like fashion, I got a lot of creeps. And I can usually tell. What I do is this is actually what I do. If somebody's interested and they don't seem creepy immediately, I take them out for like a coffee. And I observe
Oh, you're
them.
nice. I Skype them first. I'm like, are you weird?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I'm not afraid for myself. I take them somewhere public and I see how they act. If they hit on the person that they buy coffee from, if they're staring at girls' butts as they walk by, I do not use that person.
Serious?
Because
People do that when they're essentially on an interview with you?
Oh my God, yes. And let me tell you something. The reality is that when I was shooting all fashion, and I was literally those girls. It was rare to have a girl over 17 years old. I'm not having 15-year-old girls in my studio with somebody who can't control themselves when they're having a cup of coffee on a job interview.
That's true.
So I look for people that are classy, and that's it. I mean, I don't and listen. That'll listen. Because that's basically, as an assistant, you got to listen because you want to. ideally you want to learn how the photographer operates. Not necessarily that one thing is right or wrong, but that's what they do. Because you should be 2 steps ahead. Like if you ever see Dave, not that Dave's my assistant, Dave is an amazing filmmaker of himself, but he helps me a lot. Dave is like, I turn around, Dave's already done it. Because Dave works with me a lot and he knows that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And that's what you want in an assistant. And that's why sometimes you'll see people bashing like high-end photographers. Annie Leibovitz gets a lot of this, where people are like, well, I saw her work and her assistants do everything. Yeah, because they know what she wants because they've worked with her enough, because she's the fucking photo god. It's like, yeah, you try to do what she did. That's all I'm going to say about that.
What is Seth our father right now?
Wow.
I'm so proud of my 2 people.
Seth likes to go on live stream without his shirt on.
He's the one you interviewed that was looking at girls' butts.
That's right.
That's right. And
Seth's
somehow
like,
he's still here.
I got a new light and I'm not wearing a shirt.
I saw that one. I thought maybe he had too many brownies in Amsterdam. I'm like, what is he doing?
No, I mean, listen, I guess if I look like Seth, I would not wear a shirt either. I mean, dude, good on you, dude, but I just think it's funny. He's got a lot of girls that follow him, and they like that.
I guess so.
Got to show a little skin. Yeah, the inventor chooses you. I guess that's true. You know,
it is true. You know, and to be honest, go for somebody. This is going to sound weird, but don't just like attack their DM. So we get a bunch of DMs or emails or whatever, and it's hard for us to sift through them. Sometimes I just look for some kind of connection. You know, that I can tell you didn't just send a mass text to everyone or a mass email. So I don't know. I can't even tell you what it is that makes it click for the people that come along with me. But
it's like Tinder.
Like
if you're just swiping everybody, it's not going to work. You got to write something particular. Look at their thing and be like,
really
oh,
great
man.
idea for an app. We can make Tinder for photographers.
Oh, that's a good idea. You swipe that. Oh, this is good. I
Someone
like this.
take that. Someone
I like
take
this.
that idea.
Well, I would sign up for it.
Send me royalties.
Yeah, there you go. But it's basically like that. But no, seriously, like if you're just like randomly like, oh, I like your stuff, you got to look at their stuff and be like, what? This is actually how you get jobs in general. Like if you want to work for, let's say, a catalog, you don't just send them shit. You send them shit that reflects that you understand their brand. Like if you want to work for Martha Stewart Living Magazine, you don't shoot dark, edgy, weird shit. You shoot stuff that would be in Martha Stewart, and you send her that because that's what she likes, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, one of the best paying magazines.
Martha Stewart?
Yeah, Martha Stewart Living is actually very, I mean, it's been a while since I've
I would love to shoot that stuff.
Oh
and
my God, you
the
could totally do
weddings
that.
edition, yeah, but you have to like know people, and I don't know anybody.
Oh, Martha Stewart, what's up?
Where have you been?
They're like right up here. We should just show up there.
Really?
Yeah, they're on.
Let's do that. We'll stay live. Well, we can't. I gotta go teach at ramen in a minute, and I gotta go.
We'll do
pick up
another.
a
We'll do it.
first.
We should do it as a live stream. We're just gonna show up at Martha Stewart Living
so
with the. Yeah, it's like right over here because I actually went there to drop some stuff off with the stylist once. I've never shot from because it's not my style. You gotta know what your style is.
Do you offer classes on the business side of wedding photography? So if you guys, first of all, I know Daniel put the link to my wedding website there. On the bottom right-hand corner, there is a Are You a Photographer? Click here. But if you go to breatheyourpassion.com, you can get a free ebook, 9 Secret Ways to Brand Your Business. And yes, I offer business courses on photography kind of on that same website, Breathe Your Passion. It has some little stuff in there. I get asked to do workshops and I get overwhelmed because honestly, I hate dealing with models. I really might do one this year though, by the end of the year, a workshop, like a real wedding workshop. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
But how do you do that? Do you set up a full wedding?
No, because I don't want it to be just another styled shoot that somebody gets to photograph. And I know that's what's attractive, but I want to give people things that are going to sustain their business, not just boost their Instagram when they post a picture.
Right. So basically, more of a wedding, like learn the technique, not take the pictures, or more of a business thing.
Gene, you must apologize for a snarky comment I made about the audio on one of your early. What audio? Gene, what did you say?
Well, he's taking it down now. He's making amends. It happens. There's been some bad audio.
I'm sure it was horrible audio. Who knows?
That's so interesting though, because I feel like business, and maybe this is where weddings is slightly different. Like the business side of photography is really hard to teach. Like as far as getting work, like when you look at things like what I did mostly, which was fashion and advertising, because it's not that obvious. Like everybody kind of does it a little bit differently, but you're marketing to the consumer, right? So it's kind of consumer marketing in general.
Right.
Right.
It is. And really it comes down to psychology. One of the best books I ever read on marketing, it's called Predictable Irrationality or something along those lines, but just talks about human psychology. And when you look at that and apply it to marketing, it doesn't matter what medium you put it on, whether it's social media now or, I don't know, Yellow Pages 20 years ago, it's still going to work every time. We've been going live for like an hour. We haven't
We've been
had
super
a
long.
pause.
I don't know when you need to break, because I know yeah.
I have to be at Kleinfeld's at like 3:45 to pick up a gorgeous dress because we're shooting a bride at Anorama.
Yeah, I mean, if you happen to be in New York, I don't know if
can't
this still
come. It's sold out. 250 people registered, so we might have a mild mob.
Awesome. Yeah, and this goes to show you, see, there's a lot of people that want to do weddings. This comes back to what
they want to shoot. They just want to shoot. But if I
true.
did, you know, a business class in Adorama, 16 people would show up.
I know, it's unfortunate, and you really should go to the business classes. Those are actually the ones that make the most difference. I mean, you can go to like your local chamber of commerce. It's like literally just classes about business in general.
Oh yeah.
One of the best books that I ever read, and I don't know if it's at all useful. It's probably not useful now because it's probably 20 years old, but it was called The 20-Something's Guide, because I was a 20-something, to Creative Self-Employment. And it was a book written about people wanting to be, being young and wanting to work for themselves. And that's what it was about. It didn't have anything to do with photography. It talked about things like, guerrilla marketing type techniques, like how to do things. This is free internet, how to do it. And that was super useful for me for everything I did. Some of the first jobs I ever got, I literally just followed tips in that book. I wanted to be a photo assistant. I made a bunch of promos. I looked at photographers I wanted to work for. I personalized the stuff. I sent it to them. I got work. I mean, that's how I did it.
See? It's exactly what we've been
Is it worth cold calling? I wouldn't call anybody.
Oh my gosh, I hang up all the time.
Yeah, I would. What you want to do is, if you want to reach for commercial stuff, and this is to be very brief here, you want to let them. You want, when they finally see your portfolio, to at least recognize your bicep. So what I used to do is I would send postcards once a month, and then 3 times a year, very, very expensive promos. If you just send the expensive promo, you're fucked because they're going to throw it away. Postcards are meant to be picked up, looked at, thrown in the trash. But when they get that expensive promo, when they open it, if your style is consistent, they might look at it and go, hold on, this looks familiar. And then they're going to look at it, and then they're going to throw it away. And that's going to happen for a while, but once you get the client, it's worth it. I would spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to get a client, but then I'd make a shitload of money for 2 weeks' work. I mean, that's basically how you do it,
So true.
Yeah. That's out. Do you suggest assisting? Yes, absolutely you should assist.
100%.
Yep.
I still assist sometimes. Like for fun, when I wanted to learn more about studio photography, I would just go assist.
Yeah, it's true. Assisting is good, and
my friend Moshe, I would just go, and he's in DC, but it's just a train ride from here. I would just go sit in his studio and watch him work, or assist if he needed.
Yeah, no, I think that's super good. So if you know photographers, assist them, or put yourself out as an assistant. There is this like idea that people will like you were saying. A lot of people reach out to me like, I want to come. I have to read your vibe. I mean, no offense to people who I've said no to, because I don't want to say that you're a creeper, but like. It's like, why do you want to be there? I got to kind of figure out, like, you're literally another person on the set, and I am responsible for the safety of all the people on my set. It's both mentally and physically. So, like, if
I was
you're
just going to say, including the emotional safety.
And that's so important. Like, if you come on my set and you're like a creeper and the model feels uncomfortable,
your pictures aren't going to come out. The model's not coming back. The client's not going to be happy. I've had that with weddings too. I had an amazing photographer. He was so good, but he was on the wedding and he was like, he was just like that intensity. I'm like, dude, this is a wedding. We're happy here.
Yeah, it's like killing the vibe.
We're happy here. He's like, oh, I was just in the zone. That's how I am. Like, let me try again. And he came back, and I'm like, didn't change a thing. Like, I can't have you on my staff.
Yeah,
I can't.
It's got to fit your vibe.
Everyone.
Actually, somebody asked earlier, which I didn't answer, if I could assist Joe McNally, would I do it? Yeah, why not? I would love to assist Joe McNally. Joe is awesome. We've worked together a bunch of times. I would always carry his bag. Let's see, active, what?
What things?
Let's see if folks see this. Active, please autocorrect.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. I'm scared to read these comments because half the times I'm like, my dyslexia is coming out.
What's things do you just stay motivated? How do I stay motivated?
He does live streams.
I do live streams. I mean, yeah. You know how I stay motivated? Actually, this is gonna sound like I'm shouting out this guy. So I was by my house. I live upstate, so I don't live in the city, and don't come looking for me. And I was getting a coffee like 3 days ago in the morning, and this guy goes by, and he's in like one of the parks trucks, or whatever, and he beeps and he waves. And now it's the first thing in the morning. I'm like, he could be waving at me, he could not, so I don't know. So I wave, and I go inside. I'm getting my coffee, and the guy comes in and he's like, hey, I went to one of your workshops and blah blah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like. He's like, I didn't know that you were. I'm like, oh yeah, He's like, he was talking to me, really nice guy, and I'm thinking, He's like, that was one of the best things I ever did because I did this, this, and this after, and that keeps me motivated because I know that people are actually doing stuff with the information I'm
So
putting
you
out there.
being famous and people recognizing you on the street is what keeps you motivated.
Yes.
That's what.
It's never girls though. It's always some dude. Just kidding. No,
Actually, that's true. So all of us, our Adorama TV crew, we have this group chat on WhatsApp, and there's a video of Mark Wallace in some country riding a motorcycle or whatever he was doing, you know. He sends a video of this guy like just worshiping Daniel. He's like, oh yeah, I knew other Adorama people too, but so I get it, yeah.
Yeah, no, that fills my ego. No, but not that part of it, but that part, yes. But the fact that people are actually doing stuff with it. Although I don't have time to go through everybody's stuff and respond back to you, people send me tons of DMs, but when you tell me, hey, I did this and it worked for me, or I bought that, or I did this job, I mean, that's literally why I started with Adorama. We weren't online at first. I was in the store as the pro. Like, they brought me in to be a guy to help people. That was my job. You would come in and be like, I have a job. I have no fucking. I'd be like, all right. I'd be drawing stuff on napkins. You should do this. You should do. They come back like with 2 weeks later and be like, the job went great. That makes me feel good. That's what I'm there for. I mean, that's pretty much it. You know.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, I don't just always do photography to stay motivated. I do other things, other creative things.
Guys, we have 104 people watching right now.
Oh.
I would really like to know where everyone is from.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
what
boy.
kind of photography you do. I'm sorry, we talk a lot, and I should have asked this earlier. I tend to like to know where people are from and what type of photography, because if somebody asks us about marketing, about whatever, I like to then apply it to the different people that I know are watching, and then the different countries too.
Oh. That's why she's better at the marketing stuff.
I just like to know who's
It's pretty
here.
obvious, yeah.
So if there's 104 people, I should get at least 20 people tell me who you are, where you're from. That would be great. Unless you're all driving, in that case, don't do that.
Yeah, let's have some
I
shout
mean,
outs.
you might anyway, actually.
Usually people do that when they first show up. At the beginning, we usually get countries. Let's see.
No, we get who's eating right now. I wish I didn't eat lunch. I had a juice.
Oh, those are the people that were there ahead of time. Oh, really?
I had a juice. I put protein in it.
You offered me a coffee, so I figured that you were getting food.
I thought about it, but then I just kept sweating after my workout.
Shout out to Pret. So I went to Pret.
Pret, a manager?
Yeah, and and they were like, I did the app now, right? So I have the app, so I'm eligible for a free cookie.
Oh.
So I went in and I'm like, oh, I want to use the app and I'm eligible for a free cookie. And the girl said, you know what? You can have a free coffee too.
Huh.
I was like, peace. So I got a free coffee and a cookie.
Nice.
Thank you.
Look at this. See this Paris editorial.
Oh, nice.
Oh, this person's in Paris. You guys can find the rest of the Adorama crew. Austin. My brother lives in Austin. We have Richmond, Virginia,
Austin is like the
Canada.
coolest place.
A couple Canada, Houston, Netherlands, Oregon. I saw Ireland over there.
Oh.
Good. So for me, I especially like knowing about different countries because, we talk a lot about social media, but social media is a little bit different when you're in Latin America, when you're in, places in Europe. So my advice might be a little bit different after that. We have a ton of people watching, and I have to go pick up a wedding dress.
Oh my God, she had you all shut out, and she has to leave now. This is cool, actually.
I do. You want to know one of the coolest things that I have found, the biggest marketing differences that I have found in Latin America and here, and I'm not totally sure if it's the same in Europe, is that businesses utilize WhatsApp all the time.
Oh, interesting.
For business, and for me to be like, hey, WhatsApp me in the U.S., it has almost like a weird connotation to it. Like it's not professional, but it's the reverse. So I just like kind of knowing like where people are and that kind of stuff.
Actually, you had a video that it's kind of ties into this that I thought was really brilliant, and you talked about how however somebody reaches out to you, you reach out to them.
Yes.
So if they reach out to you on WhatsApp, or that's how you at least start the conversation. You stay there because that's where they're comfortable, right? If they're reaching out to you on a platform, that's what they're using probably.
Yeah, which can be very frustrating because then you have to keep track of all of it. But there are desktop apps or online services that actually bring all of your social media messages into one place.
Oh, nice.
I don't currently use it, so I can't tell you the name, but I know they exist. It's like on my to-do list. And thank you, Thomas. That's very kind.
that would actually be super useful because I do that too. Like I have like Skype and WhatsApp and Kik and like all these different things because people have reached out to me on various things. And of course, if somebody says to me, "Hey, I want to send you what's your Kik?" I have one, just like all the kids. I'm on Snapchat.
I don't have Kick. What's Kick?
Kick is like another chat one.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's like KIK. I don't know if it's big anymore, but like I haven't used it in a while. But WhatsApp seems to be popular.
KIK? Yeah, WhatsApp. I use WhatsApp.
WhatsApp is good because you can kind of use it.
It's better for groups,
yeah.
better for media.
Yeah.
You can call on it, video chat. Everything.
It's pretty sweet. So yeah, I mean, so that's probably worth getting, guys. If you don't have it, it's free, obviously.
I'm no spring chicken. I'm not a creep. Oh, Patty. Is that Patty that comes into the store? Curly hair?
Is
No?
this Patty that comes in the store, curly hair? I never know anybody's name. I'm sorry. I'm always so terrible.
I think
You guys probably think I mean, as much as I like when people shout my name, I never know anybody's name. And if anybody watches any of these, you always know I don't. I was notorious when I was a fashion photographer for forgetting all the models' names. So my assistants would always tape on my tripod with a piece of white gaff the models' names. And then when the model would come on set, they'd walk over and touch the name that was that model. Like literally, that's what I would have them do.
Oh
so
my
like
gosh.
all the names would be written, and when the model stepped on set, the assistant would walk over and touch the name. And I'd be like, Bunny or whatever that is.
Genius. I picture myself as, I don't know how many girls are here, but the movie The Devil Wears Prada, Meryl Streep wants to act at a party like she knows everyone, and she has her two assistants stand next to her, so when somebody walks up, they whisper in her ear who it is, what they do, and like where, I don't know.
That's exactly me.
And I want that person. I want that person there.
And I want to say that it wasn't my idea to do it. My assistant Dean came up with that because he just saw that I kept screwing it up, and he was like, this is what I'm going to do. And God, it worked so great. Nobody
Nice.
ever, he'd write everybody's name. He'd, boop, this is this person, this is because I'm just bad with names. I'm good with faces.
I'm good with faces. Well, that's because that's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll remember where I photographed you. I'll remember the face of the person I photographed you with, but I might not
Oh no,
remember
Patty's
your
in
name.
Virginia, so it's not the same Patty.
Okay, not the same Patty. All right, but I do have to go.
Okay, so we got to go. Vanessa's got to go. We'll bring her back. We'll bring her back when Seth is here, so he can be loud.
He can be loud.
We'll have to watch this back and see if we're the same volume.
He'll
whenever
just
Seth
walk
is,
back and forth without a shirt on.
Yeah, we're gonna have Seth with no shirt in the back.
He'll be a prop. We
Yeah,
won't let him
we'll do
speak.
that. He'll oil himself up and stuff. It'll be really
Oh,
fun.
gross.
Well, I don't know. That's not sexy for girls. I don't know.
No.
I'm not sure really. I have no idea. Obviously, I have no concept of what's sexy. Okay. Thanks, guys. Subscribe if you don't. Follow Vanessa on social. You're just Vanessa Joy everywhere.
Vanessa Joy. Yeah, go on Instagram. That's where I am mostly. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of education on my Instagram, profile highlights. So
Yeah, and I
it's
put
good
her
stuff.
website in the description, so you got that there too as well. And I'll put anything else later if you want to send it to me. I think that's it. I'm going to try to go live more often. If there's somebody you want to see me talk to that you've seen me interact with, I will reach out to them. I would love to have David Bergman on here, but you can't ask any questions about Bon Jovi.
I met
Because
him.
everybody asks.
Oh, that's
who,
right.
Bon
He
Jovi?
photographed. Yeah, he photographed him.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
All right.
I would like
We're
to
going to
meet
get
Bon
on
Jovi.
another tangent.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this is what happens, by the way. This is exactly how
That was
this
a really good ending. That was
That was a good
That
number.
was good.
Solid ending. We're
Solid
done.
ending.
You're not
Solid
even
ending.
watching us anymore.
Yeah,
We're already
no,
close.
We're already gone. I'm already
Alright.
picking up what it goes.
Go ahead and subscribe. I actually don't know how to stop
Bye.
it.
And I'll
just
see you
press it.
tonight. See you
All
tonight.
right. Yeah,
You guys
come see
around?
Vanessa. Are you live streaming that? No.
No. No, I'm not allowed.
I think I stopped it.
Good.
Pause live, stop and complete. There we go.
Yay.